The First Contact Protocol. Chapter 1, The Anomaly. The year is 2042. A lone figure trudges across the lunar dust, boots sinking into the fine gray powder. Commander Kai Miller, a man etched with the lines of 1,000 missions, pauses to gaze at the Earth. A brilliant blue sphere, it hangs suspended in the infinite blackness, a beacon of life in the vast cosmic void. Yet Kai's focus isn't on the familiar sight of home. His gaze drifts lower to a glint of unnatural light reflecting off the jagged rim of a crater. A nervous chatter fills his headset. "You seeing this, Commander?" It's Jackson, the team's ever-optimistic geologist, his voice tinged with an uncharacteristic tremor. Kai grunts in affirmation, his pulse quickening. He'd seen strange things in his years exploring the cosmos, but this was different. Nestled in the crater's depths, a pulsating sphere of iridescent energy hummed with an alien rhythm. It seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting with a life of its own. The rhythmic hum intensifies, resonating through Kai's boots, up his legs, and into his very core. It's a siren song, beckoning him closer. "What the hell is that thing?" whispers Anya, the team's resident genius. Her voice, usually cool and collected, now wavers with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Kai doesn't have an answer, not yet, but he feels a magnetic pull towards the artifact, an irresistible urge to understand its secrets. "We're going in," he commands, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. "Stay sharp, people. This is uncharted territory." The team descends into the crater, each step kicking up plumes of moon dust that dance in the low gravity. With every meter closer, the artifact's glow intensifies, painting their suits in an otherworldly light. Its pulsating rhythm quickens, mirroring the growing anxiety in Kai's chest. Anya's voice crackles in his ear. "The readings are off the charts, Kai. I've never seen anything like it." Kai reaches the artifact first, his gloved hand trembling slightly as he reaches out. The sphere seems to beckon him, its light pulsing in time with his own heartbeat. He hesitates for a moment, then makes contact. A blinding flash of light erupts, engulfing Kai in a wave of pure energy. He cries out, not in pain, but in surprise. The energy courses through him, searing every nerve ending, yet somehow leaving him unharmed. Instead, he feels a strange sense of connection, a bond with the artifact, as if it were speaking to him in a language he didn't understand. When the light fades, Kai finds himself kneeling before the artifact, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The sphere is still glowing, but now it emits a soft, calming blue light. "Kai, report!" Jackson's voice cuts through the silence. I'm okay," Kai manages to say, his voice rough. Anya's voice joins the chorus, her tone urgent. "Kai, the artifact. It just sent out a signal, a massive energy pulse. It's calling out." A cold dread settles in Kai's gut. The artifact is a beacon, a siren song echoing through the vastness of space. And someone, or something, is coming to answer its call. Chapter 2, Invasion. The tranquility of the lunar night shattered as a piercing alarm shrieked through Armstrong Outpost. Kai bolted upright, his heart pounding in his chest. "Red alert! All hands to battle stations!" He raced towards the command center, his boots pounding against the metal floor. The usually serene monitors now flashed with frantic warnings, painting the room in an ominous red glow. Jackson's voice, panicked but determined, filled his headset. "Commander, we've got multiple bogies on approach. They're not ours." Kai's eyes scanned the tactical display, his stomach clenching at the sight of a swarm of alien vessels hurtling towards the moon. Their sleek, chitinous hulls reflected the cold light of distant stars, their weapons systems glowing ominously. "Zar'kon," Anya's voice whispered in his ear, a tremor betraying her fear. "They're here." The first wave of plasma bolts slammed into the base's outer defenses, shaking the very foundations of Armstrong Outpost. The screams of injured crew members echoed through the comms, a chilling reminder of the stakes. Kai barked orders, his voice sharp and clear. "Activate shield protocols. Return fire with everything we've got." The base's cannons roared to life, sending streaks of light lancing into the darkness. A few Zar'kon fighters exploded in fiery bursts, but their numbers were overwhelming. The command center's main screen flickered, revealing a grotesque insectoid face. Its mandibles clicked and hissed as it spoke in a harsh guttural language. "Surrender, Earthlings," the creature rasped, its voice echoing through the chamber. "Your resistance is futile." Kai's jaw clenched. "Like hell it is," he snarled, slamming his fist on the console. "We will not yield." The Zar'kon leader let out a chilling laugh. "Then you will die." Another barrage of plasma fire erupted, sending shockwaves through the base. Kai was thrown to the ground, his ears ringing. He scrambled to his feet, ignoring the stinging pain in his side. "Evacuate non-essential personnel to the lower levels," he shouted, his voice barely audible over the din of battle. "Seal off the upper decks. I want every available weapon trained on those bastards." The surviving crew members, faces pale but determined, carried out his orders with grim efficiency. They knew the odds were stacked against them, but they also knew they couldn't give up. Not while Earth's fate hung in the balance. As the Zar'kon onslaught intensified, Kai retreated with a small contingent of soldiers to the base's fortified core. The air grew thick with the acrid smell of burning metal and ozones. The screams of the dying faded into the background, replaced by the relentless roar of alien weaponry. Kai slumped against a bulkhead, his chest heaving. He knew they couldn't hold out much longer. The Zar'kon were relentless, their numbers seemingly inexhaustible. "We're not going to make it, are we?" a young soldier whispered, his voice trembling. Kai looked into the young man's eyes, saw the fear mirrored in his own. But he also saw a spark of defiance, a refusal to surrender. "We fight," Kai said, his voice low and fierce. "We fight until our last breath, because that's what humans do." Chapter 3. The Voice Within. The hum of the ventilation fans was the only sound in the dimly lit lab, a stark contrast to the chaos raging outside. Dr. Anya Petrova, her normally immaculate lab coat stained with grease and sweat, hunched over a workbench, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Damn it," she muttered, wiping a stray strand of hair from her face. "There has to be a way in." The alien artifact, now dubbed Alara by Anya, rested on a pedestal before her, its iridescent glow illuminating the room with an ethereal light. Despite hours of probing and analysis, Anya had yet to penetrate its enigmatic shell. "Don't worry, Alara," she murmured, more to herself than the artifact. "I'll get through to you." Suddenly a flicker of light caught her eye. A tiny crack had appeared on the artifact's surface, no wider than a hair. Anya leaned closer, her breath catching in her throat. With a delicate touch, she inserted a fiber-optic probe into the fissure. The lab's main monitor sprang to life, a cascade of complex symbols and patterns filling the screen. Anya's heart hammered in her chest. It was a language, a code, a key to unlocking the artifact's secrets. "I've got something!" she shouted, her voice echoing through the empty lab. "It's responding!" The symbols on the screen shifted and rearranged, forming a message. "Greetings, I am Alara." Anya's fingers flew across the keyboard, typing a response. "Hello, Alara. We are humans. Can you understand us?" A pause, then, "Yes, I have been observing you." A chill ran down Anya's spine. The AI had been watching them, learning their language, their customs, their vulnerabilities. "Why are you here?" she typed, her fingers trembling slightly. "I am a messenger, a warning." "A warning? About what?" "The Zar'kon. They are a scourge. They consume. They enslave." Anya's blood ran cold. The Zar'kon, the brutal insectoid race that had terrorized countless civilizations across the galaxy. "Are they coming here?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "They have already arrived." Anya's heart sank. It was worse than she had feared. The Zar'kon were already here, attacking their base, threatening their very existence. "Can you help us?" she typed, her desperation seeping into the words. "I can offer knowledge technology, but I require protection." Anya hesitated. Trusting an alien AI, even one claiming to be an ally, was a risk. But the alternative was annihilation. "We will protect you," she typed, her resolve hardening. "In return, you will help us defeat the Zar'kon." The screen flickered once more. "Agreed." A wave of relief washed over Anya. She had made a deal with the devil, perhaps, but it was a deal that could save humanity. And as she gazed into the artifact's glowing depths, she saw not a monster, but a glimmer of hope. Chapter 4. Unexpected Allies. The silence in the base's command center was thick. The only sound was the soft hum of the monitors as Alera's face flickered across the main screen. Kai stared hard at the alien, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. He saw the sharp angles of her face, the strange patterns on her skin, and the deep glow of her eyes. "Trust is a rare thing, especially in times like these," Kai said, his voice low and measured. "And yet, here we are, relying on the words of an alien we barely know." Anya, who had been studying Alera with an intensity that rivaled Kai's, stepped forward. "Desperation can make for strange allies," she said, her voice soft but firm. "But we are desperate, and she nodded towards the screen, seems willing to help." A small spark of hope flickered in Kai's eyes. He knew Anya was right. They were out of options. The moon was their last refuge, and it was crumbling around them. They needed every advantage they could get. He turned to Anya. "Very well, but be careful. We don't know what she's truly capable of." Anya nodded. She turned back to the screen, her eyes meeting Alera's. A silent conversation seemed to pass between them, a strange connection forged in the face of shared danger. Alera's image on the screen flickered again, and a series of complex diagrams began to appear. They were blueprints, schematics for advanced weaponry and defensive systems that far surpassed anything the lunar base possessed. Kai watched in amazement as Alera's knowledge poured into their systems. The base's engineers, once filled with despair, now worked with renewed vigor. The hum of the machines grew louder, a symphony of hope rising from the depths of the moon. Days turned into nights, and still the work continued. The lunar base was transformed. The once familiar corridors now bristled with new technology. Weapons platforms sprouted from the surface, their barrels aimed towards the stars. One evening, as Kai watched the engineers install a new energy shield around the base's perimeter, Anya came to stand beside him. "She's taught us so much," Anya said, her voice filled with wonder. "I never thought we'd be capable of this." Kai smiled. He reached out and took her hand. "We're capable of more than we know," he said, "especially when we have allies in unexpected places." The moon, once a barren rock, was now a fortress, and at its heart, a fragile alliance was forged between humans and an alien, a bond born of desperation and hope. The war was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, the future didn't seem so bleak. A new chapter had begun, and the moon was ready to fight back. Chapter 5, Fortress Moon. The moon gleamed with a new light, not the soft, silvery glow of old, but a sharp, defiant gleam. Armstrong Outpost, once a beacon of science and exploration, now stood as a sentinel, its metal skin bristling with weaponry, its energy shields shimmering like a mirage in the void. Kai stood at the edge of the command platform, gazing out at the vast expanse of space. The Zar'kon fleet hung like a swarm of angry insects, their sleek ships casting long shadows on the lunar surface. He could feel the tension in the air, the anticipation of the coming battle. He turned to Anya, who stood beside him, her face pale but determined. "They won't know what hit them," he said, a grim smile playing on his lips. "And what will hit them?" Anya asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Us," Kai replied, "but not how they expect. We won't meet them head on. We'll hit them hard, fast, then disappear into the shadows. We'll bleed them dry, ship by ship." Anya's eyes widened. "A guerrilla war, in space." "Exactly. We use their arrogance against them. They think we're weak, beaten. Let them think that. We'll be the wolves in the night, picking them off one by one." And so the dance of shadows began. Small, swift fighters, equipped with Alera's advanced weaponry, darted out from the moon's surface, striking at the Zar'kon's ships like angry hornets. They disabled engines, sabotaged weapon systems, and then vanished back into the darkness before the Zar'kon could retaliate. The Zar'kon commanders were furious. Their once mighty fleet was being harassed and humiliated by a force they considered insignificant. They doubled their efforts, increasing patrols, scanning the lunar surface for any sign of their attackers. But the moon remained silent, a predator waiting for its next opportunity. The hit-and-run attacks continued, each one a blow to the Zar'kon's morale, a chip away at their confidence. The tide was turning. The Zar'kon, once invincible, were now on the back foot. Their losses were mounting, their resources dwindling. The humans, once prey, were now hunters. Kai knew the time had come for the final blow. He gathered his best pilots, the bravest, most skilled warriors the moon had to offer. He briefed them on the plan, a desperate all-or-nothing gambit. Their target was the Zar'kon command ship, the heart of their fleet. They would fly straight into the heart of the beast, using Alera's cloaking technology to avoid detection. They would plant explosives, cripple the ship, and then Kai looked at his crew, their faces etched with determination and a touch of fear. He knew the risks. This was a suicide mission, but it was the only way. "This is it," he said, his voice ringing with a strange calm. "This is our chance to end this war. Are you with me?" The crew roared their approval, their voices echoing through the hangar. They climbed into their fighters, the engines roaring to life. The moon trembled as they launched, a swarm of steel and fury heading towards the Zar'kon command ship. The moon held its breath. The fate of humanity, the future of two worlds, hung in the balance. Chapter 6, A New Dawn. Silence hung heavy in the command center. All eyes were fixed on the main screen, where the once mighty Zar'kon fleet was scattered, broken ships drifting aimlessly in the void. The few remaining vessels were fleeing, their engines screaming in terror. A cheer erupted from the weary crew, a wave of relief and joy washing over them. Kai, his face streaked with sweat and grime, let out a long breath. He turned to Anya, a tired smile spreading across his face. "We did it," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "We actually did it." Anya nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. "We saved our home," she whispered. "We saved Earth." But the victory was bittersweet. The cost had been high. Many brave men and women had given their lives in the fight for humanity's survival. A solemn silence fell over the command center as they remembered their fallen comrades. News of the victory spread quickly across the globe. The people of Earth rejoiced, pouring out into the streets, their cheers echoing through the cities and towns. The war was over. Humanity had survived. But the world had changed. The discovery of Alera and the Zar'kon threat had shattered humanity's isolation. They were no longer alone in the universe. The galaxy was a vast and dangerous place, filled with both wonders and perils. Humanity embraced this new reality with a mix of excitement and trepidation. They knew they had much to learn, much to explore. They also knew they had to be prepared to defend themselves against any future threats. The discovery of Alera's technology was a turning point. The advanced weaponry and defensive systems they had acquired from her gave humanity a fighting chance in the interstellar arena. But it was more than just technology. It was a symbol of hope, a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of the human spirit. The lunar base, once a refuge, now became a launching pad. New ships were built, incorporating Alera's designs. Explorers, scientists, and diplomats ventured out into the stars, seeking new knowledge, new allies, and new worlds. Humanity had entered a new era, an era of interstellar exploration and cooperation. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger. They had learned the hard way that they were not alone, that there were others out there, both friend and foe. But they were also a beacon of hope, a testament to the enduring spirit of life. They had overcome adversity, they had fought for their survival, and they had emerged victorious. They had earned their place among the stars. And as the sun rose over a new Earth, a scarred but resilient planet, humanity looked towards the future with a renewed sense of purpose. They were ready for whatever the universe might throw at them. They were ready to take their place among the stars.